Guys, this is EggStarcraft, and I'm coming to you with another 1v1 tutorial. The topic of today is going to be macro, so let's get into this. So macro is something that's I find really difficult to cast. I've been looking through a lot of my videos, and it's difficult to find a video that actually demonstrates macro because it happens in every game. So this match is actually going to hopefully show you guys the importance of macro and actually some specific things about macro that are often taken for granted and some misconceptions of macro. So I'm spawning as Terran, the red Terran, at the 12.5 o'clock position, and my opponent is Lurker Drop, who is the blue Zerg, and he's spawning at the 2 o'clock position about. So macro, so let's see what I can do. This game, I tried really hard to up my APM. Normally I play at about 60 APM. That's a bit generous. Sometimes like even 50 and 40. And I know there's a lot of players out there just like me where you find you don't really need that much more APM. It's kind of useless to have that much more APM. But I tried to spam really hard today. This match was actually a couple days ago, but that's because I wanted to see if there was any benefits to it, to going really fast and having a lot of APM. So we're gonna take a look. Unfortunately, I didn't record it while I was playing it. So what I'm gonna do instead is do this little live camera thing that they have, and hopefully you'll see how much I spam between stuff and give you a better idea of what I was doing. So I go for standard opener pretty much. I know I'm fighting Zerg. I saw the Overlord came from the bottom right part of my base, so I'm obviously going to assume that he is at the 2 o'clock position. I went for a pretty early barracks. 12 barracks is very standard actually, and I think a 13 refinery. Normally you want to get your refinery to finish and have your workers getting that 25 gas in by the time your barracks finishes so you can get your tech lab, but I didn't exactly do that. This match I'm going to go heavily with Marines. I like to go Marines against Zerg. A lot of people do. It's very safe. It protects you from Muta, it protects you from Zergling mostly. Banelings will give you a bit of an issue, but there's ways of avoiding that, splitting your Marines, stimming out of the way, stuff like that. There's stuff you can do. So I set my command center here to 1 and my barracks to 2. The first part of macro is setting hotkeys and sticking with them and actually using them. It seems pretty simple, but it's actually quite difficult sometimes to actually keep in your mind that you set that hotkey and that you're actually using it. Again, we're following me here. See what my opponent's doing really quick. He has much less APM. He has about half the APM I have right now, and he's probably thinking, he doesn't need it. He's building up units. He's doing pretty well. He's got his queen out, and that's really the mentality of a lot of players. So I think he's got a baneling nest. He's got a spawning pool. He's got his queen. He's going to be getting out fast Zerglings, fast banelings, and he's going to try and bust through my base. So I'll go back to what I was doing. I get my second barracks. I'm researching combat shields. I don't know if you guys saw that. Because, of course, I'm going Marines, like I said. And I'm going to be just pretty much heavily Marines. So throwing down a mule here. That's another important thing to do, is make sure you're using your mules. Even the pros sometimes, neglect to use mules. And especially against Zerg, you really don't need that much detection. Scans are only useful, really, against, well, they're helpful in helping you see up hills. They can, if you suspect that they're rushing in with underground roaches, then you can use them, but you don't really need them as much. It allows you to drop down a few more mules and get that economy pumping pretty hard. So speaking of economy, the important thing to consider with macro is that each base that you have fully saturated can only support a certain number of buildings, and it's really important to know that threshold that you can be meeting with your buildings. And I have a little link. I'm going to put it in the description, and it's quite useful. It kind of tells you how many production facilities you can be running off one base. It's a pretty cool link. It's through Team Liquid. It's pretty trustworthy. I like it. So check that out. But usually you want to keep in mind that you can, with mules and a decent number of SCVs, you can pretty much run about 4 buildings. Okay, we have a baneling bust. I'll continue that later. Baneling bust through my supply depot, takes out a few Marines, and not really that effective. And that's because my marine number is just so high right now. I mean, I've been constantly, even though I don't have a reactor, I have a reactor on my other barracks, but even with that tech lab, I've just been pumping out marines this entire time. It's been had no downtime except for now where I'm supply blocked, but it's just as long as you keep pumping out of those buildings, you're going to be good. Anyways, what I was saying is you can only pump out a certain number of buildings per base. So generally with Terran, if you're throwing down mules and you're not building too many gas heavy units, you can produce out of 4 bases, out of 4 production facilities. So if you want to instead, get siege tanks, you want to start getting siege tanks and medivacs, then you're gonna start seeing a lot of diminishing amount of units that you can produce. But yeah, generally, if you're pretty balanced Marine Marauder army, you're gonna be able to produce out of 4 buildings. Now, one I think is a misconception of macro, studying your macro and improving it, is that a lot of people think that it's all about spending all your minerals. And I feel as though, especially as Terran, it's quite dangerous to keep that mentality. Because if you are just constantly spending your minerals and you're spending your Vespene, and you get into a position where you lose all your units, which happens a lot to Terran. If you're out of position, you run over a baneling, a burrowed baneling, or your siege tank was out of line. It's just you can lose a lot of units very fast, and it's good to have some extra minerals in the bank just to kind of rebuild up if you need to. So I'm supply block right now, but he's gonna break through again, and he has a shitload of banelings. He kills quite a few of my marines, but as you can see, I split my marines in front of my ramp so that even if he had more banelings and busted through, my marines are split up so that he has to choose one side, and he doesn't get to take out all of them. It's a really effective way of splitting your marines, and it's a good thing to keep in mind when you're walling in. So as you can see, I'm really not even teching that much. I mean, you saw that I got a starport, and I'm really not doing a whole heck of a lot more. I got my marines pumping out. I'm just doing a few upgrades, nothing really heavy, constantly pumping out SCVs, remaking these stupid supply depots that they keep taking down. But other than that, it really doesn't take a lot to macro pretty well. As you can see, my APM right now is 84, so that's actually kind of high for me. I know it doesn't seem like it's very high at all, but yeah, for somebody who's normally going around 60 to 70, which I think is a lot of players, it's kind of tough to actually keep that average up. So I'm going to send another SCV into Scout just to make sure that this drop is going to be good. And I think as soon as Stim finishes, I should be moving out. That's another thing to keep in mind is attack timing, which I will be having another video for. Hopefully when I find a good match that I do where attack timing is pretty vivid in the game. So you see, all I have really is Marines and Medivacs. And even though I know he has Banelings, I know that because I kept pumping out Marines this entire time, I'm going to have an advantage. And he really hasn't taken out a lot of my stuff. So we take a look. His army count, oh god, his army count's half of mine. He's at 35 right now. And I know that he hasn't been effectively macroing just because of that. You can tell that he hasn't been doing well. And I have been, because I've just been constantly pumping out. So we can see I move out with a couple Marines, doing a little bit of a move drop, and Stim up here. And I have about 15, 16 Marines here, and they're going to be attacking that, trying to take out as many drones, move good attack, and yeah, pretty awesome. Oh, here comes his army, and I'm going to back out a bit. And you see it get everybody attacking, and he's still got banelings and marines and stuff like that. And as you can see, oh man, those banelings, they're actually taking out quite a few of my units. My micro is slipping a bit here. And I'm down to 6 marines. So normally that would be a bad situation. But as you can see, because I've been macroing pretty well, I'm going to have reinforcements in here in no time. I mean, my army count is still 65. I'm still in a pretty good position. And look at what I'm killing him with. I have like 6 Marines here. It's nothing, it's really not a lot. And with Stim, with Medivacs, they can do so much damage. So I feel like Boxer right now. I mean, I'm taking out his whole base. I'm taking out all his production facilities, or not his production facilities, but his what do they call them in Zerg? I don't know, their research facilities or their tech facilities, whatever. And it's enough. 6 Marines is enough, because you don't really need the heavy micro as long as you keep producing units. Like, I mean, even if he had, another 3 or 4 banelings, he would have been able to take this out, but he just wasn't macroing effectively. So here I go. Oh, he's got more units, and here they come. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, they're going to take out another huge chunk of my units. And maybe even take out these 2 marauders. Oh, no, okay, they're picked up and saved. And these marines are just going to town over here. with really not very much micro at all. It's pure macro this game. So I hope you learned something from this. Constantly produce out of your buildings. Know the number of buildings that you can be producing out of effectively from each base. And as you can see, my APM is around 91, which is quite high for me. And it was actually kind of tiring, to be honest, to get that APM up that high, especially when you're not used to it. But it's something you really should be working on. Even if you think spam is useless, try it. Trust me. You're going to see a huge increase in your skill, and the results are just going to be good. There's nothing wrong with spamming as hard as you can. So this is EggStarcraft, and I hope you guys learned something. This is my macro video. Have a good one. See you guys.